Hey athletes, today we're going to talk about when is it time for you to modify the program that's laid out for you, okay? So, first thing, let's just use a push-up as an example, okay? If either I or whoever's designing your program says you need to do 12 push-ups, 3 sets worth, or you're doing 4 sets of 30 seconds or whatever, and you do push-ups really easily and 12 isn't very challenging for you, or the 30 seconds or whatever, it's time for you to make them a little bit tougher, okay? Now, every exercise has a progression to it. You can put your feet up on something when we're talking about a push-up, you can put your hands on something, whatever. But if you're making it through the 12 or the 30 seconds or whatever your program says, and you're making through easy, and you're still feeling across your chest, because again, that's where we want to feel it in a push-up situation. We feel it in our back when we do a pull-up, and we feel it in our legs when we do something with our legs. If you're feeling those muscles, then hey, great, it's time to progress. Now let's talk about when is it time to regress. So, your coach might not always be there for you. Your coach might not even stop you and change you. They might not stop you and say, hey, you need to regress, okay? Because your coach doesn't want to make you feel bad, right? We already know if we tell you, hey, you're doing something wrong, you're just going to kind of come back at us and say, oh, I'm doing it fine. But the reason I say push-ups is because this is where I see it a lot. I've trained kids, I've trained adults. A lot of times push-ups go wrong. So you might start off perfectly, right? You might be doing your push-ups, you might feel it across your chest, you get up your shoulders, your triceps are burning in a great way, and as the rounds go on, your form degrades a little bit, and you know what? Those that have good form usually typically know it's time to regress. But, again, if we're talking push-ups, and your push-ups end up looking something like this, right? We're in trouble, okay? So, if that's how you think your push-ups look, or if you think you're doing your push-ups better than that, but that's how they really look, you guys need to make sure you're checking yourselves, especially if you're working out by yourself. You don't have somebody's eyes on you. You need to make sure you're checking our analysis videos, okay? You need to understand what is expected, okay? Because if you're doing a push-up like that, I can guarantee you're not feeling it in the front of your core. You're not feeling it in your pectorals. You're probably feeling it in your shoulder, but that's because your body's like this, right? And you're doing this and your lower back's on fire. So, never ever feel that regressing is a sign of weakness, okay? If you were to tell me, Josh, I want you to do 100 push-ups as fast as you can, okay? Now, I'm going to go at it, and I'm thinking, okay, I want to have as good a form as I possibly can. I'm going to start on my toes, and then as I start to fail, a regression is really easy, right? With push-ups, you probably know it's get on your knees or put your hands up on something, but we need to make sure that when we're doing a regression, that it makes sense, right? We don't go from doing push-ups and then regress it to, let's say, a shoulder press necessarily, right? Because then we're not feeling our chest at all, okay? So we need to make sure if we're going from a push-up that maybe our regression is doing something very, very similar, right? We want to stay as specific as we possibly can. So again, if your goal is to do a push-up on your toes, let's say 20 repetitions, and you're unable to do it appropriately and safely, we need to make sure that your regression is just 1 tick or 2 ticks away from what's actually expected. Again, going into a shoulder press isn't really going to benefit your push-up ability, right? As we do regressions, we're still trying to help our bodies get better at the progression. So make sure you guys are aware of what you're doing. Do you need to progress your exercise because it's too easy, or do you need to regress it because you're just doing it incorrectly?